Hey guys, it's Abby here with your book talk on Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. Hopefully you recognize the name Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. This is because they're characters in the book Hamlet, which hopefully you guys have all read. So, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is a play which is like a comedic commentary on Hamlet from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's perspective. So, I'll read you a little bit of information about the play and how successful it was. So it says, Tom Stoppard was catapulted into the front ranks of modern playwrights overnight when Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead opened in London in 1967. Its subsequent run in New York brought it the same enthusiastic acclaim, and the play has since been performed numerous times in the major theatrical centers of the world. It has won top honors for a play and playwright in the poll of London theatre critics, and in its printed form was chosen one of the notable books of 1967 by the American Library Association. So, now that you know a little bit about the play and how successful it was, I'll give you a little bit of background on Tom Stoppard, the author. So, he was born in 1937 in Czechoslovakia and has written over 35 plays, one of his most famous being Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, which won the Tony Award for Best Play when it was produced in Broadway in 1967. An interesting fact about Tom Stoppard is that he's actually knighted in 1997, and he now lives in London. So, in Hamlet, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are brought into the plot by Claudius, which is the king, hopefully you know, to spy on Hamlet and to see why he's going crazy. So they're supposed to, and then after that, they're supposed to take Hamlet to England, where he's ultimately going to be killed by the king. So, although the character's only role in Hamlet is to advance the plot, Stoppard wants us to see that even people who seem to have little significance still have their own story. So, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are very simple-minded characters. They just pass their time by playing games such as gambling, just flipping coins and calling heads or tails. And so one of the main questions that crossed my mind as I was reading this play is, why would Claudius have called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to spy on Hamlet? They could barely even remember events that happened in their own lives, much less how are they going to figure out what's wrong with Hamlet. So now I'll read you guys a passage when Rosencrantz and Guildenstern meet the players, which are the actors who perform the play for Claudius and Gertrude and Hamlet. So Rosencrantz says, "My name is Guildenstern, and this is Rosencrantz." Guildenstern confers briefly with him without embarrassment, and then he says, "I'm sorry, his name is Guildenstern, and I'm Rosencrantz." So this kind of gives you guys a little bit of insight on how the characters kind of act throughout the whole story. They're very ignorant and make stupid kind of comments like that, but it ultimately leads for some comedic relief in the play. So now throughout the book, there's kind of a continuous reference to death, which is no surprise because of the title of the book, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. The two of them, they try to kind of compare death to different things, and it's for example, when they're on a boat, they almost think they're dead, and they're always trying to understand what death is like. And players and the actors, or the actors in the book, they tell them about how they act death and some of their plays, but ultimately the most accurate view on death, I think, is when Guildenstern speaks up about his view, which is toward the end of the book. I'll read you guys that. It's one of the best passages, I think, in the whole book. So, Guildenstern says, "I'm talking about death, and you've never experienced that. You cannot act it. You die 1,000 casual deaths with none of the intensity which squeezes out life, and no blood runs cold anywhere, because even as you die, you know that you will come back in a different hat, but no one gets up after death. There is no applause, there is only silence and some secondhand clothes, and that's death." I don't know, I just really like this passage. It's one of the more serious moments of the book, and it just kind of brings about that Guildenstern kind of does have a more smart aspect to him, even though throughout the book he does seem kind of ignorant. And I also think that the author's trying to show something with these continuous comparisons to death. I think he's trying to show that they're trying to understand what death is like, but really death is uncomparable to anything on earth, and nobody knows what it's like because nobody lives through death to tell what it's like after. So, and then the main theme that I believe the author is trying to show throughout this whole play is that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern make the ultimate sacrifice of their lives, which is basically they die because of their sacrifice to Claudius and this social class system. And so Stoppard wants to point out the flaws in the social class system at the time and how lower class people and maybe more ignorant people are just being used by the rich. And so that's the main theme I believe that Stoppard is trying to show through this play, and I hope that you read it. It's a great and hilarious play.